Hey, and welcome back to another video in the Interactive Shorts video series focused on ways of making your class more interactive or immersive for your students. So today we're focusing on using the online tool called Scribd. And this isn't like a traditional tool that I would say is generally focused on interactivity, but it's a tool that allows you to provide more content and information to your students. Anytime you add content to a class, potentially depending on how you use that content, it could really allow students to better understand what you're trying to explain to them in terms of that content, your discipline expertise, particular theories, content, bits, historical items, whatever those might be in your class. So when you use this today, I wouldn't think of it in the same sense that I've been discussing interactive shorts in the series, because it isn't on its own necessarily interactive. It's a tool that you can use because it's a wealth of information available to you in terms of Scribd, but actually employing that in your class will take some work in terms of scaffolding that content. So let's jump in right now to Scribd and show you what I mean by using this approach in your class. Okay, so we're jumping in right now to take a look at Scribd. To get started, go to Scribd, Scribd.com. This is one of those where you can certainly use it in its free version. Eventually, it will ask you to sign up. And one of the cool things about this is they very often will do a 30-day trial that allows you to access the titles here. When I just logged on, it says here, save 20% on your membership. Pay only $7.09 per month with annual billing. I think the range of memberships, I was a member for about 6 months to have access to the documents. At the time, I think I was paying like $8.99 a month. So if you do an annual billing, you'll save a couple bucks. Looks like almost $2 a month by doing an annual billing. And if you do the math there, it's not too expensive, just over $80 to $90 for a membership, depending on, again, when you sign up and the choice of whether you do annual or monthly billing. But to try it out for 30 days, it certainly doesn't hurt. So what Scribd is really an online library. It has just about everything, ranging at the top here from books, audiobooks, magazines, podcasts, sheet music, documents, and snapshots. And if you click on what is Scribd, you get a better sense of what it involves. There's a lot of ebooks, the EPUB. If you use Kindle readers, you can download to your tablets or phones and have that EPUB content that's really easy to read. You can really read that a lot easier, I would say, than a traditional PDF file. There also is a lot of PDF content here on Scribd. Now, the content ranges on Scribd, again, from the type. So what I would recommend is when you get started with Scribd, to simply browse the types of documents. Again, if you're into audiobooks, you can click on those, magazines, podcasts, sheet music, documents, and so forth. There is some similarity between some of the categories, so you'll sometimes find music within documents, sheet music that is within documents. You could also find books actually located within documents. So there isn't always a clear way of finding content, only because a lot of people will upload their own content, say, into documents, and if they upload a book, then that will appear there. Now, one thing from the beginning that I guess would warn you about is, like anything else on the internet, there could be certainly some copyright infringed material here available on Scribd, so you kind of have to navigate those minefields, if you will, on your own to figure out what you want to use and so forth. But what I've done is I was recently developing an anthropology of music and sound class. And so one of the things I did was I used the documents feature within Scribd to really find information that I could use to supplement my class. And that's one of the main things I'm suggesting for you in including this in the interactive short series, is that these are great supplemental readings or even primary readings that you could use in a class. Now, of course, there's also Google Books you can go to. There is the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine, and so forth that has a lot of wonderful material. In the age of OER texts and OER information available for students, we're very familiar, I think, with a lot of these sites. So what I would recommend is begin by using the search bar at the top. And I'm not going to go through all this, but like traditional sites, you'll see your account information page here. And it tells me, the type of account I have. I currently have a paid account, but I probably need to cancel that fairly soon if I don't want to continue that. And it's one of the things, by the way, I've put on my tax write-offs during the year. Even though if you don't get support from the institution, you can purchase some of the software or a subscription like Scribd and use it, and then use it as a write-off for your business write-off if that's the kind of thing you do with your taxes. So right here, I can just type in a word. Let me type in related to the anthropology of music and sound, the word ethnomusicology. And once I type that in, I just hit return, and this is where the fun starts in terms of all the information that you're going to get. So using these same categories that you see at the top, Scribd will automatically fill in every category the possibilities of what is available. And it kind of shows you how the site is organized. So we have documents, we have audiobooks, we have traditional books, and these traditionally will be ones that you cannot download as, say, a PDF. When you click on it, you will be able to read it as long as you actually have a subscription to Scribd. So this would go away if your paid subscription goes away. But you could see right here, this is the format. It's really easy to read. Again, you can use these on your EPUB reading apps that you might have on your tablet or your phone. So books are very easy to interact with because they are easy to just read in the format that they're presented in. Now, these would not be good to choose if you wanted a persistent link or document to give to your students. They would have to have an account in order to access that. So I really don't recommend things like books or audiobooks. Articles are definitely good because when you click on articles, we actually get into a little bit of, this is kind of a theme in our society now. I was going to say, these are free to read. Well, some are free to read. Maybe if it's NPR, I can click on this here, an article from NPR about music videos in Africa. It looks like it's free to read. So I could save that source if I wanted to. I can also find this, you'll see at the top here, a URL that allows you to save that as a module, or rather probably a page, and then incorporate that in a module. You could also then Google the title and go back to NPR and find that original article. But some of these potentially could be needing to pay if you go to the external site like The Atlantic or something of that nature. I don't know, Jazz Times. I'm not sure what this will pull up. But if you're concerned about anything that will require payment by yourself or by students, obviously don't use that resource. And that's one trick, I think, in navigating the digital world today. Even though there's a lot of OER material available for us, there's a ton of paid material behind paywalls that we have to pay for. So that becomes a little tricky, just navigating that world. So what I really recommend here is clicking on documents. This is kind of your go-to source for finding information that will allow you to download a document and thus have that available, say, in your files in your class in Canvas. So this has 8,553 results using the word ethnomusicology. I would click View More. And then all these documents open up. These could be self-published, these could be journal articles, they could be entire books. So for example, they have Bruno Nettles' content here, The Study of Ethnomusicology. And as you start to scroll down, you'll see the entire document, and on the right-hand side here you see there's a bar that allows you to move up and down. If these are large PDF files, I really recommend you click on Download. And this one's actually pretty small. It's 2.87 megabytes, so probably not scanned at high resolution. And then going to just go to my Downloads folder, and I will see this file has appeared. In my computer here on a Mac, it's a PDF that I can open up in the Viewer Preview application. And you can see just by some of the aliasing of the cover image, you can see that that is definitely a low quality scan, but who knows the source of this. But in the case of the text itself, it's pretty nice to read this. And some of these will have a table of contents that are clickable. Perhaps if I click on this, it's not quite working. So sometimes it doesn't work, just kind of reading through here. But you can see this is a very long PDF document. So what I could do is I could incorporate this in my class as a reading. You know, in most of your PDF programs, you can resave the file using a print command to PDF that allows you to just save sections of that file. Or what I sometimes do is if I have a long text like this that has hundreds and hundreds of pages, I just tell my students, when you open up the document, read pages 56 through 74 or something of that nature. So it's really up to you how you might want to use this. And again, when I look at the site here, there's very little information about where these documents are coming from. So again, navigate the minefields of copyright on your own and figure that out and focus on that in your own ethical, professional ways. Because I don't really know. You'd have to just look at every document and see if there's information about what has been uploaded. And so going back to the main page here in my search for ethnomusicology, again, over 8,500 results. And I can go through, it's pretty labor intensive doing this, but I did this recently for that new class that I just developed, the special topics class. Some of these, again, are articles. If you click on it, you can see, and in some cases, these could even be preprint copies. These might not necessarily be again, high quality versions. They could be drafts. They could be papers that people took from academia.edu or other sites of that nature. So it's really up to you, I think, to navigate what you might use within Scribd. We can also look at sheet music. So in some cases, there's very good sheet music that is available. If you're teaching a music class and you're looking for a fake book or something of that nature, you could click on it and see what's available. This, again, is another one that is a start reading within Scribd itself, so it's not going to be downloadable. But if I type in the word fake book, which is often good to find your blues tabs or blues charts, depending on the instrument that you play or the music that you're teaching, probably want to look under the documents, and you could see 200,000 results. The Bill Evans fake book, the Tango fake book. This is one of those ultimate ginormous ones, probably hundreds of pages. It looks like this one is, I don't know if it's downloadable. Doesn't look like this one is a downloadable one, but let me show you one that's in a PDF format. They generally say PDF on the top with a little title card if they're PDF. This is a Bebop Bootcamp fake book. And I could download that. And as I did before, I just opened up my downloads folder and pull that up, and you can see this is a guitar tab, so has the chord progressions, but for me this would not be as useful since I'm not a guitarist, but if you are, then you can use this, and again, available for your students as well. So I think the thing to remember in terms of using Scribd is it's a lot of work on your end to figure out the content that you might use in your class. What I would probably do is, once you have all your content downloaded, again, if I checked ethnomusicology and did that search, and under documents, which I think is the most useful tab to look at, I had all these documents. I'm going to actually have to read or go through all these. It's pretty hard to cull through 8,500 separate documents. So probably you're going to look at the first few pages of information and see if any of those are useful. Save some of these maybe, and then download some of them as PDFs and upload those to your class site. So the next step after you have all of these various articles or documents is to have them available to your students in your class. Again, really do think about copyright and issues of that nature, because it's not super clear using Scribd what's copyrighted and non-copyrighted material, and maybe even why something has appeared here. Because of the Pro account features, when you log on as a Pro account user, you do have access to copyrighted documents and copyrighted sources. Now, which of those are legit and then which of those get taken down later with a copyright infringement claim, that I'm not sure of. So you really do have to look at that on your own. Now, the one thing I will mention about using Scribd is you probably in all likelihood would need a Pro account, but because there's often a 30-day free trial, if you're doing a lot of resource gathering and information searching for your class, maybe just use it for those 30 days, and then after that you could always cancel that account. Or go for the paid account that is as cheap as $7 a month by doing an annual subscription, or do month by month for somewhere around, I think, $8.99, something of in that range. You'll have to check on your own. So Scribd may not be your thing for a class, but I found it really useful for researching a class, and again, giving students more information rather than less in terms of content in your class as additional supplemental readings can really be a great way to immerse them in terms of the content and the context of the specific discipline that you're teaching. So it's certainly something that you can consider using in the future. Here, looking at Scribd as a possible content and information source for your online DE class.